Hey guys, welcome back to Manic About Movies. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
And this week we watched the movie Hustlers, which with Adam Sandler and
Hustle.
Hustle. Hustlers, different movie.
Yeah, very different movies.
And it's with Adam Sandler, and I forget the actual name of the
Juancho Hernan
yeah,
Gomez.
who plays for an actual pro team, or is it it's either a pro team or he plays for the what's that like
He
trick
played
shot team.
he played for a bunch of NBA teams. I think
Okay,
he
yeah,
still
that's what I
might be
thought.
on one, but he just doesn't get much playing
The
time.
Globe. I thought he was on the Globetrotters now, but
Oh
could be
no.
wrong. Okay, yeah,
But yeah, he's
and
on a team.
hmm and this week is which is a movie about a foreign guy who is an up and coming basketball player, and Adam Sandler is his agent. And so, what were your overall thoughts about it, Aaron?
Oh, this is a this is a tough movie for me.
Really?
And just look I see the rotten I saw the Rotten Tomato score. Okay, so I go into it looking at the score thinking it's going to be this masterpiece. 93% on Rotten Tomatoes,
Oh,
which I think is the third highest out of any movie we watch, higher than All Quiet, higher than Tenet, higher than Tombstone, Goldeneye.
yeah. I
So
mean,
I'm like, is it really going to be that good? And I love Adam Sandler. I love almost all his movies. He's the ones that are bad. They're so bad they're good. But I have a lot of notes on this one, mainly because I'll just start going through it and then I'll explain myself. So the movie opens up with Adam Sandler. He's a 76er scout and he's going to this foreign country where the NBA legend Boban Marjanovic, all 7'6" of them, also appeared in John Wick. Um, Currently on the Rockets. He's like, I'm 18. That's my son. He's 10. And his son's like 7 foot tall already, and I just love that guy. And then he's like, where's your passport? He's like, big fire, lost it. Not passport, birth certificate. And then I realized when he's on the road eating food, it's just like the big Pizza Hut boxes, big Burger King. So it's like I noticed the amount of product placement in this movie
oh
that
yeah,
Adam Sandler's throwing. And then we meet his wife, which is Queen Latifah, which I thought was hilarious because almost in every Adam Sandler movie, he pairs himself up with like the hottest supermodel ever. And this time he's like, you know what? Let me switch it up and I'm going to go with 80s rapper turned actor, Queen Latifah, which I kind of thought was funny that he didn't give himself Salma Hayek or something like that this time.
yeah,
And then we see he starts going all these different players, and we see the Wagner brothers, Wagner from the NBA scouting, talking about how great they are, and then he's like, "Oh, this guy ain't very good. I can scout everyone." And then in the subtitles, I see LeBron James was a producer for this movie,
yeah.
and then
It's
we.
quite the star-studded group of people.
I know they have so many great NBA players and also so many ones, that aren't big names, kind of
Yeah,
bench riders. And I would think if LeBron's producing it, why wouldn't he show up and give it a little star power? The man did Space Jam 2.
that is true.
And then we're in a meeting and we meet Steve Urkel being a scout, which made me laugh. And also, all they're talking about is foreign players. They're only scouting foreign guys. Like in the meeting, they're only talking about all these foreign guys. Oh, he's not ready for this. And I'm like, there's 90, like a good chunk of draftees or college players here in America, but they're only scouting these foreign players in foreign
I
countries.
I think it's kind of just the big hype with like Giannis and Luka Doncic, and like
Yeah,
those are kind of like the big names. That's right now. Those are like what they were trying to hype off of.
That's a good point. There's a lot of great, foreign players now, but it seemed like that's all they were scouting.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And then they have a meeting, and the coach, I forget the actor's name, but it's kind of a legendary actor. He's like, Stanley, don't ever lie to me. You stay, I was your coach in college, and you never back down. Don't do it now. I'm making you assistant coach. Rex
Mm.
was his name. So he dies the next day, that night, actually, I think.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then I realized, you meet his son and the sister, just two kids, and the sister's like, I'm not going to be a part of this anymore. And the brother is hates him because he's saying, "Oh, your draft views suck, Vin, and I'm better than you as a scout because I'm Adam Sandler." So I immediately think, okay, he's the most stereotypical villain in a movie. He's not going to let Adam Sandler have the assistant coach job, which he doesn't.
Yeah, no, that is very predictable.
And then we see Kenny the Jet Smith perving on young women naked at a hotel. And he's like, "Look at them tits, brother," which is just so weird to see Kenny Smith not playing himself in an NBA movie, begging Adam Sandler, a married man, to stare at tits. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then we've Adam Sandler's like, just give me where can I play basketball around here? Find me some random court in the middle of nowhere. So he does. And everyone in this, I forget what country. It's not Serbia. Or, I'm not even sure. I forget. I don't.
I think not, I thought it's
Spain?
Spain. Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
it
it's
might be Spain.
Spain.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. It probably is. So he finds this random court where the most lit game you'd ever seen. It's like an NBA game. There's a zillion people watching it. Everyone's making every shot, dunking between the legs, blocking, doing amazing things. Everyone is essentially Michael Jordan on this court. And then I think we meet Juancho Hernan Gomez, Bo Cruz. We don't know the name yet, but he's talking smack with this other really short dude, and they're having like a 1v1, very contested. Bo's hustling him. And Stanley has made it clear with everyone in the crowd that he doesn't understand a word they're saying. And then all of a sudden knows exactly the trash talk they're saying to each other in Spanish. All of a sudden. He's like, "Oh, don't let him do that. Oh, don't let him say that." And I'm like, how does all of a sudden he know? But yeah. Uh, Also, the guys that are playing, or no, Adam Sandler gets on the bus, stalks him, and says, "I liked your balls, the way you ball," or something. And it was like the most suspect thing you could ever say to someone
Hmm.
through Google Translate. And I was like, "There's no other way he could have took what you just said." So he stalks him to his house, goes in. The guy like is threatening him because he's stalking about to encroach on his property. And all of a sudden, at like 2 in the morning, a random 76er scout that's like poor, has a terrible car, is complaining about bills, can just randomly call up Dirk Nowitzki and he's gonna answer and act like they're best friends
Hmm.
at 2 in the morning, whatever this is.
I wonder like how close to reality like it is with him as like a coach and everything because like it just seems so like unprofessional like how the movie starts and like how it like opens up with him like just basically just he's employed by them but like you kind of almost wouldn't know because they don't care about him and they just drop him at like the drop of a hat and like he's not important at all and it's just so like weird uh how like free they all moved around and everything.
Yeah, I don't believe most of this movie because he's an NBA scout, okay, who's apparently amazing at what he does, but also at the same time,
Hmm.
it's the 76ers who up until the past like 2 years, and they said he's been like the scout there for 30 years, have been consistently horrible They
Yeah.
had like a couple good years in like 2000, 2001, and had been horrible since up until these past couple years. And they're still not even making it deep in the playoffs. They choke. So I'm like, he's acting like he's the best scout. They're like talking about him. He's invaluable as a scout. He's so amazing. He catches everything. And I was just like, he's a scout, and so apparently he has to be consistently on the road. He misses birthdays, he misses that because he's always going to different colleges, different countries to scout players. So how in the world would he have a chance to become friends with Dirk and all these former NBA players? And
Yeah.
also, why does he act like he's dirt poor? He's got like a terrible car. He's like, oh, I'm worried about paying the bills this week. I need a promotion. She's like, you should quit then. They don't respect you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I totally don't get how they're poor or anything, and like, I don't get how, like, if he's an NBA, if he's made it to the NBA, there one should be plenty of fallbacks that if he doesn't land it, he can go to, and two, while he's in the NBA, he should be making a pretty penny because a head coach makes millions. I'd assume an assistant coach makes at least over 100,000.
Yeah. Probably well over 100,000 a year. So I'm like, I'm confused by it. And I know he's just getting the assistant coach position now, which is weird because the dude's the owner. And I don't know why he couldn't a long time ago if he trusted Stanley so much, made him assistant coach. He's just all of a sudden now doing it before he dies. It's not like he's giving him a stake in the company or anything. I don't know. Or a stake of the 76ers. I didn't know. I just was so confused on that part.
Yeah.
But then he's talking in, you know, Spanish at first using Google Translate, and he's like, I shows him Dirk. They let him in. Well, not they don't let him in yet. All of a sudden, they all know how to speak English. The mom and Bo know English fine, so I guess they're like, oh, we don't need subtitles anymore. And then I'm just like, they're in like a terrible part of town, like essentially like a slum. They live in a terrible part. It's got gates, it's small, open windows. They say how much they're struggling. The husband left. And I'm like, how in the world, of all things, do they know English? And I think something about like her husband went to America, but I don't know. It's just like,
Well, I mean, most of the world learns English.
I guess that's true, but I've been to those places, and
Yeah.
the only places they seem like they know it is like if they're working at like a receptionist desk, they know. But if you ask anyone else just walking around like directions, they speak the native language, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But then he brings them to this European League like meetup with a bunch of former NBA players, Euro guys in the Euro League now. And then it's the real life Bo's brother, Willie Hernan Gomez, which I thought was pretty cool. It's kind of meta that his brother's just chilling playing there. And he's Willie Hernan Gomez in the movie. He's like, Willie Hernan Gomez, this is Bo Cruz. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And he's playing these EuroLeague guys. And then he's like doing a little scout meeting where he's playing against everyone, and he starts playing like a god immediately. And all of a sudden, like gets into his head, misses a couple shots, lets a couple guys score, and everyone, all the scouts and the coaches are like, he's horrible. Oh, he's terrible. After he made like 10 threes in a row, was dunking on people and doing all this cool stuff, blocking people. And I'm like, he's going against Kermit Williams, which is Anthony Edwards, who was the number 1 pick in the draft that year. He's giving him a run for his money and scoring on him for most of the game, which so that he's essentially beating or on equal level with the best basketball player in the world coming in from college. And they're like, oh, he's trash.
Yeah, I really didn't get that because they're like the there were 8 other people on that court doing worse than him, and yet they were like, he'll never make it.
Well,
And
yeah,
the other guys are like doing fine.
and that's what I was saying. I was like, they're the only they only the whole game is just them two touching the ball.
Yeah.
going like one on one, and he's doing good, and then all of a sudden, he's talking trash, and then he starts getting upset and like misses a couple shots. I'm like, look, if you're going against the best college basketball player in the world and you block him like 4 times, dunk on him, make a bunch of threes, and are doing really good, and then you make a couple bad plays, I think you'd get a little leeway. You'd be like, okay, this guy's probably the 10th best basketball player in the world if he's, I don't know. That was just weird.
Yeah.
And then we have Nepo Baby, evil, stereotypical villain Vin come in. Oh, this guy's horrible. You don't need to cop his meals. He couldn't even beat Kermit Williams, the best basketball player in the world. And I'm like, he's just such a stereotype, Mr. Ben Foster.
Yeah.
And then I realized like Kermit was trash talking him, and that got into his head, and he started playing bad. But in the game, when they were playing a pickup game for hustling, that Spanish guy was saying some horrible things to him with,
Oh no, they were talking so much shit.
and he played fine and played better and crushed this guy. Didn't even let him score a basket or touch the rim with the ball. So I was like, how come then it didn't phase him, and now all of a sudden it does, the trash talk? Because it's in English now? I don't know. I didn't get it.
I would think it would hurt him less because he doesn't understand it as much.
That's what I thought. I'd be like, I didn't get it. I was like, that guy was saying some horrible things to him in Spanish and like threatening him, and he's like, "No, I'm fine. I'm gonna just not let you do a thing." And then Kermit Williams goes, "You trash, big boy," and he's like about to pass out.
Yeah.
And then we go into the big training montage where he's running up hills, lifting weights. Adam Sandler, being the dick he is just driving in a car, screaming at him to run. And I was like, if this is any other situation, I would turn back around and be like, "You lazy son of a bitch, get out of that car." But we get the training montage. And then Vince has been lying throughout this whole movie, and everyone hates him. It's like own sister. And then Vince, like, I guess it gets out, like when he comes over to America, they're like, "Oh, he has an assault charge." And Vince is like, "We don't know who this guy is. We're not associated with him at all." When literally 2 minutes ago in the movie, he's like, "Oh, don't worry. We don't need to comp his stuff anymore because he played terrible against Kermit Willis." And I'm like, so you were comping his stuff, had meetings about him and talks about him, but now all of a sudden you don't know anything. I feel like there's a mountain of evidence at this scouting thing of them being with him, but whatever. And now he's pissed about it because everyone knows about all this stuff. And then I think what was it saying? We get the story about Stanley, how he was with that Leon Kenny Smith. They were drunk drivers and got into a wreck, and they get no blowback or any public scrutiny from the 76ers, even though one guy's played in the NBA. They said Leon played in the NBA. He's like a huge scout and runs everything now. And also Stanley has been a scout for 30 years. and, and they're like, "Oh, that's fine, but this guy's got an assault charge in Spain, which how the hell do they keep up with that?" And know as soon as he comes into America. I thought that was weird.
Yeah. I mean, who's John Morant's like the fucking worst person in the NBA because he
Had a gun
showed
on
a gun
Instagram once.
once.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so then also I just had a bunch of questions because I was like, when Bo, how did he get a visa to come over here? All like apparently it's off the books. Like the 76ers aren't doing anymore. It's just Stanley. So did Stanley have to go to the painstaking process of getting a visa to come through?
I think he's just there
Flyer?
legally.
Oh, I don't know how he got on the damn flight then.
Well, you
Because
can
they,
get, I think it's like a 2 week, like he probably had like a travel visa where you just apply online and then flew.
oh, maybe. But then also the 76ers lawyer comes and bails him out at the airport. And so they're definitely involved because they had to bail him out. to make sure he didn't get caught in customs. And Vince is like, we have no association with him whatsoever. We don't know the guy. And then they're sitting at dinner, and the daughter, has been talking. His daughter's been like, I want to go to film school. I want to be a film god. I don't know anything about sports. And then she's like, well, I can make him an Instagram star. I know how to do it. What's your doctor friend again? The doctor friend. And then Queen Latifah's like, I'm calling Dr. J right now. How does his wife, who just played college basketball for a few years and married him out of like college, all of a sudden going to be able to call Dr. J, Julius Irving, to show up at a random park and film an intro for this Bo Cruz kid?
Well,
How,
I
why
mean,
are they best friends with everyone?
they're always struggling, yet they know all these successful people.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'll just call Dirk Nowitzki, one of the best basketballs ever. Oh yeah, I got Leon Kitch, NBA legend, whatever the fictional Leon. I know, yeah, Dr. J. I can call him up and he'll do a video and say that Bo Cruz is the best thing on the world, even though Dr. J probably saw the news and like, okay, this guy is an assault charge. Should I be promoting this guy? I
Yeah.
don't know. And then also they're filming it and he becomes a viral sensation, and all of a sudden this girl has the best technology ever. I thought they were struggling to pay bills. She's got drones that are able to fly between his legs in the middle of him dribbling and like dunking. It's flying through his legs. She's got high dollar cameras and is like a god at this. And the next thing you know, Allen Iverson, Luka Doncic are saying Bo is the best thing ever. No one could stop this man. He's the best basketball player ever. Every NBA legend's talking about how amazing he is off of one video. And then
Oh,
celebrities, he's like a celebrity now. People are asking for pictures all of a sudden. But and then Stanley is acted like he's poor this whole movie. And like we need a ration on food while Bo is buying the most expensive things every night to take one bite out of at room service. $9 chips, a bunch of pornos, bottom flights, paying for his hotel out of pocket. This man should be bankrupt by now with how much money he's spending.
I thought he was. I thought it was if I remember right, I thought he was buying everything like on credit.
Maybe he was. Maybe he was. And then we go to the game where he gets to go against Kermit again. And again, it's only Bo and Kermit touching this ball. I guess the rest of the players just do not matter. Don't get to touch the ball. And then I'm like, the whole thing is Stanley, Adam's character, tells uh Bo, right? Like, don't say anything negative, don't do anything negative because they'll all see what you're saying and what you're doing. But then Kermit is literally in front of everyone, in front of all these scouts, waving at the kids, Bo's kid and mom, talking, saying horrible things for that everyone could be able to hear because it's pretty much quiet except for the game. And no one's going to talk about him saying that stuff. And then he shoves
Because
him to the ground and punches the ground next to him.
it's because they like him.
I guess so. I guess they just love him so much. And then he goes off. He wants to leave. I'm done with this. I'm going back. Then he, at the last second, Stanley's like, "No, no, I got you. Uh, Leon got you into the game again." So a man that has an assault charge, who now on camera in front of a million scouts just assaulted the best college basketball player in the world, assaulted him, shoved him to the ground, and almost punched him in the face, is now allowed to be around him again and is all of a sudden good again to be in there. And then he plays amazing. The sister shows up and is like, Vin screwed everything up. And I'm like, how? The draft hasn't happened yet. All he's done is let Stanley quit. It's the only thing that's changed so far. She's like, he screwed everything up. They don't talk about what he screwed up. And then she goes, you want your job back? Cool. The Celtics draft Bo. And then they go to a game, and then Stanley tells all of Bo's secrets of why he's good to his team now. So they're gonna stop Bo and make him look bad. And then it ends. Sorry, that was long winded. I just had a lot of issues with this movie.
Sounds like you loved it.
I liked parts of it. I was like, oh, that's cool. Look at like random old legends that are even like not household names. I'm like, oh, Mark Jackson, all this stuff, and it's all of a sudden like it seems very unrealistic as much as it's trying to be realistic.
I know Adam Sandler is really big into basketball, and I really think this movie was just like his friends convinced him to make a movie, and instead of it being like a comedy, he did like a serious basketball movie, and this is what became of it.
Adam does love his basketball. That is true. He's constantly playing pickup games. I think it's one of those things where he's signed whatever that exclusive deal with Netflix. He
Yeah.
has to make a million movies, and he pumps out mostly terrible ones because he just doesn't care. He's like, I get to do whatever I want. Netflix is paying for it. And this time he was like, I get to make a basketball movie if I want to. I'll throw LeBron in here. I'll get him on this.
Well,
But
you've been a lot more critical of it than I would. I might have to rewatch it because a lot of those things I was like, they didn't bother me, or I didn't notice them as much at first. But like once you talk about them, like they're very evident.
yeah, I went in thinking that, like I was gonna like it a lot because like I get like it's a cheap pop out of me to reference wrestling. I see like, oh, it's Luca, oh, it's Dirk, oh, it's
Yeah.
Kenny Smith, it's Shaq, it's Charles Barkley, Dr. J. But then I go, but this is just so unrealistic. I just didn't get it. I was like, it's very upsetting. Like there was so much about this movie I wanted to love, but then I thought about it for a couple seconds, and I'm just like, this would never happen. This Stanley guy is a threat. This man
Yeah,
is
I mean, just like the thing with I forgot the main Willie.
Juancho Bo
No,
Cruz.
no. The guy he's his main basketball rival,
Oh, Kermit.
Kermit. Yeah, like I that thought of them two battling and everybody else just like already like on the team are good and only he's the bad one never crossed my mind.
Yeah, it was like I don't know if they're just skipping over everyone else, but like legitimately every play was just them going at each other. Like
Yeah,
the other guys were just kind of standing around watching, and I was like, that's not how it worked. And how am I supposed to believe this guy's 22? The other guy said he was 18 or 20 or whatever, and he didn't believe him. And this guy also has a child, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm 22."
yeah.
I'm like, "This is at minimum a 5-year-old, 6-year-old. That's a weird thing."
What do you think of Adam Sandler's new? Because I don't know if you've ever seen his other serious movie.
Uncut
Uh,
Gems.
yeah, Uncut Gems.
Well, I think Punch Drunk Love is a little serious. I saw that one a long time ago. I have not seen Uncut Gems, though I know it does have Kevin Garnett in it, which is a basketball player.
Yeah. Well, I'd be curious if you do end up watching that. What do you think of like his more serious or darker movies versus his like usual like what he's known
Comedy,
for?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely choose that for me to watch because I have not seen it, even though I've been told a million times too. You could pick that for another movie. That's that I haven't seen.
Kind of another basketball movie.
Yeah, I know it's betting, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. What do you rate this movie?
I I gave it a 4.
Okay.
And I might have to rewatch it with some of the points that you brought up because when I watched it, I think it was late, and when I've seen it twice, and both the times I've never really been so practical. So I guess I'll have to rewatch it from your perspective.
Yeah, I'm gonna just have to give it a 2.5.
Okay.
I liked it, but there were some things I was just like, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I think that's it for this week, guys. Aaron will pick the next movie. So hope you all enjoyed and have a great rest of y'all's day. Adios.
Adios, amigo.